Hello and welcome to LFC Focus. Liverpool are taking on Hoffenheim once again on Wednesday night in the second leg of their Champions League playoff to determine whether or not they will make it through to the group stage of the Champions League. And the mood going into the game, obviously with the 2-1 lead from the first match, I think is very optimistic. I think we're all expecting Liverpool to maybe not win this game, but at least however they manage it, manage to see themselves through to the group stages of the Champions League. But I think with it being a 2-1 lead from an away first leg, it's kind of tough to call how Liverpool should actually play this one, because I think if we were winning 2-0 from the first leg, then I think it'd be safe to say that we can just play this out as a normal match, treat it as a bit of formality really, and just make sure that we don't leave ourselves too open at the back and concede too many goals. If it was a draw from the first leg, then we would say that we'd have to go out all guns blazing and try and get as many goals as possible and simply outscore the opposition. But with it being 2-1, we're kind of caught in the middle, caught in two different minds really as to how Liverpool should actually set up in this game. So I think what's most important in this game really is that Liverpool get the first goal, because I think whoever gets the first goal will probably actually go on to progress into the group stage, simply because if Liverpool get it first, then it sucks all of that momentum out of Hoffenheim that I think they'll be trying to pick up where they left off from the first leg effectively, where they got that goal late on. Suddenly they felt like all the momentum was with them. They felt like they got back into the tie, and suddenly they've given themselves a chance of actually progressing once again. So I think it's important that Liverpool get that first goal, make sure that Hoffenheim don't feel like they've got the momentum with them, stop them putting too much pressure on us, and basically kill off the tie as early on as possible. Because alternatively, if Hoffenheim get the first goal themselves, then suddenly, even though they're not necessarily winning, they're winning on the night, they've got the momentum with them, and it leaves Liverpool suddenly feeling very, very uneasy. Because as we all know, Liverpool's confidence and self-belief is basically always on a knife edge. If they start playing well, they suddenly look unbeatable. If they start playing badly, then I think we just mentally turn to mush effectively. So I think getting that first goal, settling all of our players and the Anfield crowd down as well, dispelling any nerves, calming Hoffenheim down as well, and stopping them from getting too overexcited and putting too much pressure on us. And I think also it would help in terms of Hoffenheim will suddenly start to question how much they can actually get forward, because if Liverpool score the first goal, then suddenly they'll start thinking, even though their mission to score 2 goals at Anfield hasn't necessarily changed, they still need to score 2 to have any chance of progressing in the tie. They'll suddenly start thinking, I think they'll have something in the back of their mind saying that no, if they do start getting forward and they commit too many men forward, then it'll start to open up more spaces at the back and Liverpool could potentially score even more. So I think just planting that seed of doubt in Hoffenheim's minds by getting the first goal would put Liverpool on the way to just securing the win and getting through to the next round of the Champions League. So as for how I think we'll actually play it going into this game, I think the sensible thing to do, not necessarily what Liverpool will actually do in this game, would be to sit back at the start for a little bit, maybe the first just 15 or 20 minutes, and soak up a bit of Hoffenheim's pressure. Because like I said, they're going to try and pick up where they left off in the first leg. They're probably going to go high pressure, really attacking right at the start of the game and try and get the goal early on, because I think they do need to get a goal early to lift their spirits up and give them the self-belief to actually try and go on and win the tie overall. So I think Liverpool need to simply soak up the pressure, maybe Jose Mourinho it a little bit, soak up that pressure, and then look to hit them on the break, maybe a little bit later on in the game, and get that crucial first goal. But like I said, that is the sensible thing to do, not necessarily what Liverpool will do. But hopefully Jurgen Klopp will have his head screwed on here. He'll do the sensible thing. And given that our squad is quite threadbare at the moment, I don't think we can afford to take too many luxuries with how we play. So I think that is how Liverpool will start the match. Speaking of the lack of strength in depth in Liverpool's squad at the moment, injury news for now, there's nothing that new going on. I mean, Coutinho, now that the Barca-Coutinho transfer saga is basically over, because Barca have withdrawn their bids and decided that they can't be bothered anymore. They've moved on to Angel Di Maria or something like that. Someone who isn't from Liverpool is all you really need to know. But I think it might take a little bit of time to reintegrate him into the squad, simply because Jurgen Klopp doesn't seem that happy with Coutinho at the moment. And who knows, maybe he does have a sore back after all, and that is really what's keeping him out of playing any matches. So no Coutinho, no Lallana, of course. He's still going to be out for a very long time. Presumably no Nathaniel Klein. We haven't really heard any news on him in the past few weeks, really, since he actually went out injured. But I imagine Emre Can will come back into this game, simply because he hasn't been mentioned at all injury-wise. So I think it was probably just a small knock that kept him out of the game against Hoffenheim. So as for how I think we'll actually line up, I think that there are some questions about who's going to play. Centre-back wise, I think it will be Matip and Lovren. Personally, I'd like to see Matip and Klavan, because they played quite well in the game against Crystal Palace. But I think Klopp is going to try and put his faith in Lovren a little bit, see how he does, and hopefully he'll put in a better performance. Trent Alexander-Arnold, I think, will be the right back in this game because he was rested against Crystal Palace and has obviously started the season very well for Liverpool. And then left back, I think it's going to be Andrew Robertson, because there's a little bit of a shout for Milner there, because I think if Liverpool do want to go slightly defensive, it might make sense to put someone slightly calmer and more defensively minded in Milner in the left back spot. But Robertson performed very well against Crystal Palace. He was fantastic going forward, reasonably sound defensively, and I think he's put himself ahead of Moreno in the pecking order. And I think while it's possible that we could see Milner there, I think it's very important that Milner plays in the midfield this game. I think the midfield is going to be Henderson, Emre Can and James Milner, because Henderson was not great against Crystal Palace, but Wijnaldum has started the season, I think it's safe to say, absolutely terribly. So I can perfectly see why Jurgen Klopp would want to drop him for this game. Emre Can started the season okay. He obviously missed the game against Crystal Palace, so he might be a little bit rested as well. And Milner, so far in this campaign, has been our best midfielder, so I think it's highly likely that he will start this match. As for the front three, I think it's possible that we might see a little bit of rotation there, because Mane has obviously played all three of our games so far this season, and with the amount of pace that he has to burn, the amount of running that he does in games, he is going to need a rest at some point. And I think Jurgen Klopp might like to save Sadio Mane for the game against Arsenal, because if he does, then we could have a lot of fun watching Liverpool play Arsenal on Sunday. So I think Mane might get rested, and we could put Daniel Sturridge out on the right or the left wing in his place. Hopefully as well, Sturridge can get off the mark this season competitively as well, because obviously he didn't start the season very well last season. It took him a very long time to get his mojo going, and he never really did at any point during the season. And given that with Sturridge looking like he might actually be permanently fit for an extended period of time this season, it makes sense to hopefully get him a little bit of match sharpness and maybe a few goals at the start of the season to get him rolling. So I'm going to cheat ever so slightly with the 3 reasons why we'll beat them this week. It's not necessarily 3 reasons why I think we'll beat them. It's simply going to be 3 reasons why I think Liverpool will progress through to the Champions League. Not quite as catchy a title, but I think we'll just have to roll with it. And the first reason, let me know if you think I'm cheating with this one as well, but I think that 2-1 lead is absolutely massive for Liverpool, simply because going from a first leg, an away game, getting a 2-1 win, which also includes that extra away goal as well, is absolutely massive for Liverpool. I mean, statistically, most teams who get that result from a first leg away from home, they tend to go through in Champions League playoffs and stuff like that. And I think it just gives Liverpool that extra cushion and a little bit of confidence and self-belief to make them see through this tie. And I think as well, the fact that Hoffenheim will have to attack an awful lot during this game if they want to pull themselves back into it should obviously benefit us as well, because with players like Firmino, Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane, presumably at some point he will play during the game, with them playing on the pitch, if Hoffenheim are forced to play a high line defensively, then we could see a lot of goals from Liverpool. So with that 2-1 lead in mind, I think we all have a lot of faith and a lot of confidence in Liverpool progressing through to the playoffs. Second of all, provided he does start this match, obviously it's very much up in the air whether or not he will, I think Daniel Sturridge, even if he does only come on as a sub, will be absolutely massive for Liverpool in this tie, because like I said, if Hoffenheim do an awful lot of attacking and Liverpool have to soak up a lot of pressure for a lot of the game, then they will be fairly limited in terms of how many attacking opportunities they get. And given that we were actually quite wasteful at points against Hoffenheim, I think given that they started attacking once we went 2-0 up a lot more than they did earlier on in the game, and that opened up things a lot around the back for Liverpool, but we couldn't really finish off our chances. We had a lot of opportunities to make it 3-0 and put the tie beyond any sort of doubt, and we just didn't take them. So I think we won't get too many opportunities during this game. So I think Daniel Sturridge, with his natural finishing ability, pretty much wherever he is on the pitch, as long as it's close enough to the goal to see the whites of the goalkeeper's eyes, if you will, then you trust him to score. So provided he is on the pitch at some point, then I think Daniel Sturridge will be absolutely massive for this Liverpool for Liverpool in this game, and could actually be the player that secures our passage to the group stages. And finally, I know it's cliched, I know it's an overdone thing, but simply I think the power of Anfield will be absolutely massive for Liverpool in this game, especially because it's a European night. It's the first big match of the season at home. Obviously, we had Crystal Palace, but a 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon kickoff against a mid-table Premier League team is not really enough to get the crowd excited. But up against Hoffenheim on a European night, a game that really matters in the Champions League, I think the crowd will be absolutely rocking. And if you simply look at games Liverpool have played, like the one against Dortmund, where we were 3-1 down with 25 minutes to go, you can see what the crowd can do for this team on the pitch. And like I said, Liverpool's confidence is always on that knife edge. It can always go one or two ways. And I think provided the crowd get behind them and cheer them on during this game, then they will have that self-belief going forward to actually win this tie. So that is all for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. I will be back tomorrow for the FIFA 17 predictor. Hopefully I can finally get that out. I think I've worked out how to actually make it work this time. So once again, fingers crossed that we can make that work, but you never really know. But I will hopefully be back tomorrow with the FIFA 17 predictor. Until then, if you like this video, then give it a like. If you're new around here as well, then hit that subscribe button and check out some of the other videos that have been out on the channel in the past few days. Don't forget to follow at LFC Focus TV on Twitter as well, and I'll see you in a bit. Bye for now.